Hello, everyone. I'm Melissa McAllister, and you're listening to The Melissa Made Show. Now, for decades, I've dedicated myself to helping women break the cycle of dieting, navigate through all the fads, and change their lives through my nutrition coaching. Now, each week, I'm going to talk about everything from deep nutrition, mindset, self-care, the ideal workout routine, tips on how and why to implement intermittent fasting in your life, my favorite recipes that are not only crowd pleasers, but they're actually healthy for you, and so much more. Now, with small and consistent changes, you can defy aging while living a happier, healthier, and more heart-filled life. I'm so excited to show you it's possible with the right strategies that are so simple to adopt. Welcome to the Melissa Made Show. And today I wanted to just talk to you really quickly. I'm gonna make this one a short one, talking about mindset. And if you follow me, you know I am a huge acronym queen because that's just literally that's how I made it through high school and college. If there was anything I needed to remember for a speech or a test, I would create an acronym. So when I think of the word mindset, I wanted to take SET. And I wanted to make it an acronym to help you with having the right mindset to making better changes in your life. So when we talk about SET, let's talk about S and the word simplify. It really is simple. And I know how frustrating that is to hear that being healthy is simple. But I think if you and I were to sit down and have a conversation, have some black coffee together, you would agree with me that it really isn't simple. The hard part, I guess, is the obstacles that come in our way, but the actual art of living healthy is not that complicated. And it starts with the simple things of really trying to make sure that you're getting enough sleep. Now, listen, shift workers, new moms, I get that. But if you can't go to bed at a decent time at night and wake up, early in the morning to catch the first rays of sunlight, then napping is something that you need to put into your life to do your best to try to keep your sleep tank full. Because you can't, you actually can, according to Sanchin Panda, you can make up for lost sleep, which is why some people sleep a lot longer during the weekends, because during the weekdays, they don't sleep that well. And so when they happen to go to bed, say 11 o'clock at night, and they sleep until 11 o'clock the next day, they're making up for lost sleep. The goal is to not do that, because it is really hard on the body, obviously. But if that's what you have to do to keep your sleep tank full, then do it. Try not to run on too little of sleep all the time. Okay. Obviously, stay hydrated. Drink your water. Like I always say, if you have a pretty healthy eating lifestyle, you don't have to drink as much water as somebody who doesn't eat a whole lot of fruits and vegetables, which, or have tons of water in them. And so you're different than the person next to you, but taking a nice big glass of water in the morning and just drinking water throughout the day, and maybe cutting it off a little bit before bedtime so you don't get up and go to the bathroom and interrupt that important sleep. But just drink water and just always have it handy, okay? When it comes to your actual macros, protein is super, super important. And I know that right now it is the word of 2022 is protein, but you don't have to overdo it to benefit from it. It is really, really important. But if you overdo it, then you're pulling other healthy things from your diet to put in more protein than you need. So good quality protein is important. Make sure that your fats are coming from natural, God-given, God-made, nature-made fats, and really try to avoid the man-made fats, okay? When it comes to carbohydrates, I like to say be carb conscious. Think about the carbohydrates that you're putting inside of yourself. That they're not super processed. Some foods that are processed are healthy, but anything that's ultra processed that it could sit on the shelf forever. It's packaged and it's got all of these words, and the list of nutritional facts is super long. That's not natural, and it's not good for you. So just be conscious of the carbs that you choose when it comes to your carbohydrates. And it's as simple as that as far as eating goes. Now, I'm a huge proponent for fasting. And so give it a try. Give it a try and see if that you can just wait just a little bit of time before you wake up and try not to eat right before you go to bed. That's the simplicity of it all. I think this is kind of a weird way of looking at it as far as mindset goes, but I want you to think of your child, little baby that's just starting to eat solid foods, or your prize puppy that you just spent a lot of money for. Gorgeous puppy. Would you give the puppy or your 8-month-old soda? Would you give them cheese puffs every single day? I'm willing to bet that you wouldn't. And so if you just think mindset wise, if I'm not willing to feed these kind of things to my pet or to my child, why am I feeding them to myself? Okay, always think about that right before you put it in. And what really is going to make it easier for you, if you put yourself or have yourself in a situation where, because we've all been there, please understand, I know this from experience, where say you go to a friend's house and they just have this beautiful layout, and maybe you're the kind of person that has a hard time with moderation. If that's the case, I want to give you a couple of tips. Remove yourself from the situation, go to the bathroom, go outside, take a couple of nice deep breaths. And remember what's more important to you, okay, is going inside and kind of trying and eating everything more important at that moment? Or is you saying, you know what, I've really been doing good and I've got these huge goals I want to meet. I'm going to take a nice deep breath. I'm going to go inside and I'm going to say, no, thank you. Okay. That's your decision. I'm not here to tell you that the one time that you're like, you know what, this layout is gorgeous and I want to try everything, by all means do it. Or if you decide, you know what, I really don't, and I'm just going to be better off by just having my glass of water and my sparkling water and saying, you know what, it's beautiful, but I'm really okay. Either one is fine, but you make the decision from a very conscious state instead of just being reactive or impulsive about it. Because when you're impulsive about it, there's a lot of regret that comes with it. So if you decide to, enjoy the buffet to its fullest to get your money's worth, then do it guilt-free because you decided, you made that conscious decision that it's really truly what you want to do this time, instead of letting it be impulsive. It's those impulsive things that catch us a lot. And I think if you really take the time to just pull back, think about it, weigh the pros and cons, and then make that decision, you're going to be so much happier with the outcome. And tomorrow when you wake up to be like, I really enjoyed myself, time to get back on track, or I'm really proud of myself that I didn't allow myself to just impulsively eat when I knew that's really not in alignment with my goals. Okay, so let's talk about E, which is to educate yourself. And I mean this. I think one of the reasons that I've been able to stay healthy and lean for as long as I have is the education piece. And I'm not telling you that you have to go as deep as I do in education, but it is really helpful to know what good food does for you and what bad food does for you. And I'm sorry if that triggered you, but I do think some food is bad. It's just bad. We don't need it. There's no reason why we need it. And I just think it's bad. So anyway, I'll give you an example. Last night, my husband's out of town skiing and I got in bed and I decided to turn the TV just for a little bit to relax. And I could have watched a movie or maybe a TV show, but I actually looked up a documentary and I watched a food documentary. I'm a little bit of a nerd and I really do enjoy it. But I think if you do that every once in a while, or if you listen to a podcast or an interview or a TED Talks are amazing because they're like 10 minutes long on things that interest you or even could possibly concern you. Educate yourself on them, because I am telling you, education is powerful. You can make such a better decision when you have just, an understanding behind why you're doing it. Why would you choose not to, kind of go hog wild on the dessert bar? Because you really know what this is going to do to you with the sugar spike and how it's going to impede your sleep, which will make it for the next day, it's going to be difficult for you to control your cravings because of that blood sugar rise and fall, because of your lack of good sleep. And so if you know this stuff, you kind of look at it and you're like, And there we go again. That's when you step away and you're like, do I really want it? But you've got knowledge up here that really helps sway you towards the, you know what? I really don't think that I do. Education is so empowering. And so you don't have to give up your favorite TV show, but I'm telling you, every once in a while, sit down with the kiddos or your partner or some friends and watch a documentary. There are so many good ones out there about food. Now, keep in mind, some of them are sponsored. Actually, most of them are sponsored. So think of them as more as entertainment. But for the most part, they can be very educating. Same with the TED Talk. Turn on YouTube and watch yourself a couple of TED Talks. Those speakers are funny and they do a really good job. And I always walk away from one of those learning something new and definitely feeling empowered. Okay, so the last one is T. Give it time. So when you say want to have one of those Starbucks drinks that, they're like 500 calories, 600 calories and like 50 grams of sugar. And you're just really, really craving one, to walk into that Starbucks and to buy it and to drink it. The only thing coming out of that, honestly, is good because it tastes amazing. It gives you that warm feeling and it's great, but nothing happens to you negatively at that moment. And that's the biggest pitfall for all of us, is when, especially when there's holidays or there's parties or you keep things in the house because you've got small kids that love them or a spouse or a partner that might not be that supportive and is like, you may not want it, but I want to eat it. And that's really, really hard. And so that instant, the eating it at that moment, you don't think of what's going to happen if you do it the next day and you do it the next day. But over time, we start to get a little bit unhealthier. Our habits and our cravings start to get a little bit wonky. And then you turn around 3 times, it feels like, and you've gained 20, 25 pounds and, you're tired and your skin isn't as glowing as it used to be. And you're like, what's going on? Because it does take a long time. But the opposite does as well. You're going to wake up and you can choose to eat the spinach omelet instead of the cereal. You can choose to have the salad instead of the burger and fries. And that day, you're probably not going to feel a big difference on your health journey on that day. But I'm telling you, from somebody who's been on their health journey for, wow, almost 30 years now. I'll be 48 very soon. So right when I was 18 and I went to college, 30 years, the reason that I'm able to stay in shape and maybe even to flub a little bit more than someone who has kind of been on a roller coaster is consistency and time. It's been 30 years. My body is comfortable at this weight. I've educated myself. I keep things very simple, but it's just been time. So if you start today listening to this podcast and you just start today, you're like, you know what? It is simple. I know it's simple. I'm a very smart person. I know what I need to do to look and feel my best. I know that it wouldn't hurt for me to spend a little more time educating myself instead of listening to Sirius satellite radio, which I love. Listen to a podcast or listen to a TED Talk. As you drive, take that opportunity to learn something. And what's really cool is you'll learn something, share it. People love to learn these things. And so you could be the vehicle that could really change somebody's life. So say you listen to a TED Talk about sleep and you learn about this great sleep hack and how to help yourself fall asleep faster. So you go onto your social media or you have a text thread with a bunch of your girlfriends and you share this. How cool would that be for them to learn that because of you? So, if you're someone like me that just loves to help other people, it's a really fun way to be able to do that. But education is key as well. And then please give it time. They always say it takes 21 days to make or break a habit. And I've heard that's really false. It really takes a little bit longer, but I'm not asking you to make huge changes at once. I want you to imagine if every 3 days you made a slight change, just to give yourself that 72 hours to do better with it. So say you're not the best water drinker. So for the next 72 hours, it's the only thing you're going to concentrate on is getting let's just say your half your body weight in ounces. Okay. So let's just say you want 80 ounces a day. So for the next 3 days, you're working on 80 ounces, and hopefully you continue that. But then the next 3 days, you're going to work on taking the electronics off at 30 minutes before you go to sleep for those 3 days. Hopefully you don't let that go. So now you're drinking more water. You're also turning off those electronics a little bit earlier. And now you really look at the ingredients lists and you're thinking to yourself, I really want to cut back on my sugar. So I want to start counting how many grams of sugar I have in my diet for the next 3 days. I'm not going to make a change. I'm just going to count. What am I eating? So I have an idea. Guess what? The next 3 days, you go ahead and you're like, I'm going to cut that back to, whatever you're comfortable with. I would be happy if you could get to 25 grams, but that is pretty low. That is hard to do. But if you're, say right now, you're getting 80 grams of sugar a day and you can cut it down to half and get 40 grams, I'd hug you right now if I could. But you see where I'm going with that is don't try, if it's really hard for you to make change, don't try to make huge changes all at once. Give yourself 3 days to make small little baby steps. And can you imagine in 30 days, you've made 10 changes, and that is tremendous, tremendous. So mindset, think about that, okay? I want you just to keep it simple, educate yourself, and please give yourself time. Have a great day. Wow, we've reached the end. But before I leave you, I'd love to hear from you. After all, it's not every day that someone reaches out and asks for your opinion. And to me, your opinion does matter. So please share this episode with anyone that you think needs to hear this message. And remember to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. My name is Melissa McAllister. And until next time, thank you for being your own health advocate.